Story 1. The house that knew I was alone. I knew I was going to regret being home alone that night. Not because I was scared of the dark or because the house made noises old houses always do, but because the silence felt aware. My parents were out of town. My phone had been acting up all day, stuck on one bar of service, and the power flickered twice before sunset. By the time night fully settled in, the house felt cut off from the rest of the world, like it had slipped somewhere it didn't belong. I locked the doors, checked the windows, pulled the curtains tight. Then I sat on the couch with the TV on low, not really watching anything, just letting the noise fill the space. At exactly 11:47 p.m., the TV volume dropped by itself. I noticed immediately I hadn't touched the remote. The sound didn't cut out. It faded, like someone slowly turning a knob. I told myself it was a glitch. Electronics mess up sometimes. Still, I picked up the remote and turned the volume back up. It stayed that way for about 10 minutes. Then the front door handle rattled. Not violently, not like someone trying to break in. Just one slow, deliberate test. My breath caught. I froze, staring down the hallway that led to the front door. The lock didn't move. The handle stopped. Silence again. I stayed seated for a full minute before standing up. I didn't want to look, but not knowing felt worse. I crept to the hallway and leaned close enough to see the door. It was still locked. No shadows under it. No sound outside. I let out a shaky breath and laughed under my breath, already annoyed with myself. Rural area. Probably the wind. Old hardware. I went back to the couch. That's when I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow. Careful. Like whoever was walking didn't want the floorboards to creak. I didn't live with anyone else. The steps moved from one end of the hallway to the other, paused, then continued back and forth. Exploring. My heart hammered so hard it felt loud enough to give me away. "Hello," I called, hating how small my voice sounded. The footsteps stopped immediately. No reply. I stood there, phone in my hand, staring up the dark stairwell. I thought about calling someone, anyone, but my phone screen showed no service. Then something shifted upstairs. Not footsteps, dragging, like fingernails or fabric being pulled slowly along the wall. That's when the house spoke. Not out loud, not with words, but every light on the first floor shut off at once. The TV went black. The lamp beside me died. Even the digital clock in the kitchen blinked out. I stood in total darkness, heart pounding, listening to my own breathing. The dragging sound started again, this time on the stairs. One step, then another, coming down. I backed up until my legs hit the couch. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel that something was there, watching, measuring the distance between us. Then the lights came back on, all of them, and at the bottom of the stairs, standing perfectly still, was me. Same clothes, same posture, same terrified expression. But the eyes were wrong. They didn't blink. I screamed and stumbled backward, falling onto the couch. When I looked again, the hallway was empty. No footsteps, no double, no sound. Just the house, quiet and normal again. I stayed awake until sunrise with every light on, every door locked, waiting for something, anything, to prove I hadn't imagined it. Nothing happened. My parents came home the next afternoon. I didn't tell them everything, just said I didn't sleep well. That night, as I was lying in bed, my phone buzzed. Full signal. One new notification. A video file. Recorded at 11:47 p.m. The thumbnail showed my living room, from the top of the stairs. I deleted it without opening it, because deep down I already knew what it would show. The house didn't need me to watch. It already knew I was alone. Story 2. The emergency channel. The first thing I noticed when I realized I was truly home alone was how loud the refrigerator sounded. Clicked and hummed like it was struggling to stay awake. Every pop of cooling metal echoed through the house, filling spaces that used to be occupied by voices, footsteps, background noise. My parents were gone for the weekend. Friends were busy. It was just me, a locked house, and a long night ahead. I ordered food, closed the blinds, and turned on the TV for company. Around 10:30 p.m., every channel cut to black at the same time. No static. No error message. Just a sudden, clean blackout. I frowned and reached for the remote, pressing buttons until my thumb hurt. Nothing changed. Then, without warning, the screen flickered back on. But it wasn't my show. White text sat on a black background. Emergency broadcast. Do not adjust your set. A low tone droned softly from the speakers. Not loud. Just enough to make my skin prickle. This is probably a test, I muttered, trying to sound calm. The text changed. If you are alone, do not leave the room you are in. I laughed once. A short, nervous sound. Okay. Cute. The message stayed there longer than it should have. Then the screen cut to a grainy camera feed. My living room. I sat up straight. The angle was wrong. Too high, like it was mounted near the ceiling corner. I could see the couch, the coffee table, the front door. I was on the couch. On the screen, I watched myself sitting there, staring at the TV. A half-second delay. My breath caught. I waved one hand slowly. On the screen, the version of me waved back. Late. I stood up so fast the couch creaked. On the screen, I stood up a moment later. This isn't funny, I said to the empty house. The emergency tone stopped. New text appeared over the video feed. The signal has found you. The camera feed shifted. Now it showed the hallway leading deeper into the house. Then the kitchen. Then the staircase. Each cut was slow and deliberate, like someone choosing what to show next. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I yanked it out, relief flooding me, until I saw there was no caller ID. Just a voicemail notification. I hadn't heard my phone ring. Hands shaking, I pressed play. At first, there was only breathing. Slow. Close. Then a sound I recognized instantly. My front door opening. The voicemail ended. I spun toward the hallway. The front door was still locked. Chain in place. Nothing had moved. The TV crackled again. Do not check the doors. Do not check the windows. The camera feed switched once more. This time, it showed the basement stairs. I hadn't been down there all day. The basement light was on. I was sure I'd turned it off. From the TV speakers, a voice finally spoke. Calm. Neutral. Almost instructional. Remain visible. My heart slammed against my ribs. Visible to who? The voice didn't answer. Instead, the feed zoomed slowly closer to the basement door. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. The refrigerator hummed louder now, drowning out the silence between my breaths. Then I heard it. A soft, rhythmic sound beneath the hum. Footsteps. Not upstairs. Below me. Coming from the basement. The TV text updated again. It will come up when you hide. I didn't know where to go. Every room suddenly felt wrong. Too enclosed. Too exposed. I stayed in the living room, frozen, eyes darting between the hallway and the screen. The basement door creaked open on the TV feed. On my end, it stayed closed. For now, the footsteps grew louder, closer, each step slow, deliberate, patient. The voice returned. You are doing well, it said. Please remain where you can be seen. I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. You can already see me. A pause. Then, from somewhere inside the house, not the TV, came a quiet reply. Not yet. The basement door behind me clicked. Unlocked. I screamed and ran, sprinting down the hallway into my parents' bedroom, slamming the door and locking it. I dove into the closet, pulling coats over myself, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. From the living room, the TV volume spiked. The emergency tone blared. Subject has left designated area. Heavy footsteps crossed the house. Not rushed, unhurried, stopping just outside the bedroom door. The handle turned once, twice. Then the voice spoke again, closer now, clearer. Next time, stay where we can watch. The footsteps retreated. The house fell silent. I stayed hidden until morning light crept through the cracks in the closet door. When I finally emerged, the TV was off. The basement light was off. Everything looked normal, except my phone. A new voicemail, time-stamped 10:31 p.m. I never listened to it. I unplugged the TV, slept with the lights on, and left the house the moment my parents returned. But sometimes, late at night, my TV turns itself on, just for a second. And for that second, I swear the screen is watching me back. Story 3. Someone was returning my mail. I knew I was home alone because the house had a rhythm when no one else was in it. No voices drifting from other rooms. No TVs murmuring in the background. Just the ticking clock in the kitchen and the occasional groan of wood settling as the night cooled. My roommate had left that morning for a week-long work trip. I had the place to myself, which I normally loved. I ordered takeout, took a long shower, and settled in with a book, enjoying the quiet. At 9:12 p.m., someone knocked on the front door. 3 slow knocks. Not loud, not urgent. I froze on the couch. No one ever came by unannounced, especially that late. I stood up slowly and checked my phone. No messages. No missed calls. The knocking came again. Same pattern. Same calm rhythm. I crept to the door and checked the peephole. No one was there. The porch light illuminated an empty stoop. No movement. No shadows. I stood there for a few seconds longer than necessary, then locked the deadbolt again, feeling stupid for being tense. When I turned around, something white on the floor caught my eye. An envelope. It lay just inside the door, perfectly centered on the welcome mat. I was sure it hadn't been there before. I picked it up with 2 fingers. My name was written on the front in neat handwriting. Correct spelling. Correct last name. No return address. I opened it. Inside was a piece of mail I'd lost 2 weeks earlier. An unpaid bill I'd been searching for and assumed I'd thrown away by accident. My stomach tightened. I hadn't opened the door. I hadn't heard anyone leave. I locked every door and window again, double-checking them all. The house felt different now. Not threatening, patient. I tried to distract myself. Put on a show. Made some tea. But every sound pulled my attention away. Every small noise felt intentional. At 10:03 p.m., there was another knock. This time it came from the back door. I didn't answer. I stood still in the hallway listening. 3 knocks. A pause. Then something slid across the floor. I waited a full minute before approaching. The back door was still locked. On the kitchen tiles sat another envelope. This one contained a set of keys I'd lost months ago. My car keys. Cold fear spread through my chest. Someone had been inside my house before. Not tonight. Before. My phone buzzed in my hand, making me jump. A text from an unknown number. You left these behind. I typed back without thinking. Who is this? The response came immediately. You don't remember me. That's okay. I remember you. The lights flickered. I backed into the living room, scanning corners, doorways, reflections in dark windows. My heart pounded loud enough to drown out the ticking clock. Another knock. This one came from inside the house. 3 slow taps. On the wall behind me. I spun around. Nothing there. The tapping moved. From the hallway. Then from the ceiling. Like someone walking through the house without a body, testing surfaces as they passed. My phone buzzed again. I've been returning things all evening. You still haven't thanked me. I grabbed my jacket and keys, what keys I still had, and rushed for the front door. The deadbolt wouldn't turn. Not jammed. Held. Like someone on the other side was gripping it. My breath came fast and shallow. Please, I said, not knowing who I was talking to. I don't want anything back. The tapping stopped. Silence pressed down on the house, heavy and expectant. Then a final message appeared on my screen. Then why do you keep forgetting me? Something clicked behind me. I turned slowly. On the coffee table sat a 3rd envelope. I hadn't heard it arrive. Inside was a photograph. Me asleep on the couch, taken from the corner of the room. On the back, written in the same neat handwriting, were 4 words. You promised I could stay. The lights went out. Not flickered off. Every single one. I ran. I didn't grab anything else. I smashed through the front door window with my elbow and stumbled onto the porch, glass cutting my skin. I didn't stop until I reached my car, fumbling with shaking hands until the engine roared to life. I didn't look back at the house. I didn't go home that night. The police found no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no explanation for how the items had appeared. I moved out a week later, but sometimes when I lose something important, I find it waiting for me the next day, returned, neatly, as if someone is still keeping track, still helping, still waiting for me to remember why I let them in. Story 5. The room that wasn't on the floor plan. I'd lived in the house for almost 6 years, long enough to know its sounds, which steps creaked, which pipes knocked when the heat kicked on, which doors needed a hard pull to shut all the way. So when I heard a door close upstairs, I knew something was wrong. I was home alone. My partner was on a night shift, and the neighbors were gone for the weekend. I was in the living room, folding laundry, when the sound came, soft, deliberate, unmistakable. A door, closing. I stood still, counting my breaths. The upstairs had 3 rooms: bedroom, office, bathroom. All of them were open earlier, I was sure of it. I'd been up there less than an hour ago grabbing a charger. I told myself it was pressure. Old hinges, temperature change. Still, I set the laundry down and climbed the stairs slowly, keeping one hand on the railing. At the top, everything looked normal. All 3 doors were exactly how I'd left them. I checked each one anyway. Bedroom, empty. Office, chair tucked in. Bathroom, light off, mirror dark. No closed door. I exhaled, embarrassed at how tense my shoulders felt, and headed back down. Halfway down the stairs, I noticed something new. A sliver of darkness at the far end of the hallway. I froze. There was a door there now. Not one of the 3. A 4th. Flush with the wall, same color paint, same trim, but it hadn't been there before. I stared at it, my brain refusing to accept what my eyes were seeing. I stepped back up, heart pounding. The door was real, solid, no handle, just a faint seam where it met the frame. I touched the wall beside it. Warm. The rest of the hallway was cool. I didn't open it. I went back downstairs and sat on the couch, trying to rationalize it. Maybe I'd never noticed it. Maybe it was always there, tucked just out of focus. But I knew the hallway, and that door wasn't part of it. An hour passed. I tried distracting myself with TV, but my eyes kept drifting to the staircase. Every few minutes, I thought I heard something faint from above, like fabric brushing against carpet. At 11:38 p.m., the ceiling creaked directly over my head. Not a normal settling sound. A step. I grabbed my phone and quietly went back upstairs. The hallway light flickered on, revealing the same 4 doors. The new one looked different now. The seam was wider, as if it hadn't been fully shut. A thin, cold draft brushed my face. I should have left, called someone, done anything except what I did next. I pushed the door. It opened silently. The room beyond was long and narrow, lit by a dim, yellowish glow that didn't seem to come from any fixture I could see. The walls were bare. The floor was carpeted, same carpet as the hallway, just older. More worn. The air smelled stale. I took one step inside, then another. Behind me, the hallway light clicked off. I spun around. The door was gone. Not closed. Gone. Just a flat wall where the doorway had been. My heart hammered as I backed up, pressing my palms against the surface. Solid. Warm. No seam. Panic surged. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow. Controlled. Coming from the far end of the room. The light there pulsed gently, like something alive. "Hello," I whispered. The breathing stopped. The carpet shifted. Something moved closer, not fast, not slow. Certain. The walls around me felt tighter now, subtly closer than before. I hadn't noticed them moving, but the space felt compressed, like the room was remembering how to close. I turned and ran. The corridor stretched longer with every step, the light dimming behind me. My shoes sank slightly into the carpet, like it was softening, pulling. Behind me, something followed. I didn't hear its steps. I felt them. Pressure in my chest. A weight behind my eyes. A sense of being measured. Finally, I saw another opening ahead. A door frame, barely visible. I threw myself through it. I landed hard on the hallway floor, gasping. The lights were on. 3 doors. No fourth. I scrambled to my feet and checked every wall, every inch of trim. Nothing. Just paint. Just drywall. I slept downstairs that night with every light on. In the morning, everything looked normal. I convinced myself it had been exhaustion, stress, a waking dream, until I noticed the carpet upstairs. In the hallway, directly where the 4th door had been, the fibers were crushed flat, as if someone had been standing there for a very long time, waiting. I moved out 2 weeks later. The new owners emailed me once, months after the sale, asking a strange question. They wanted to know if I'd ever had trouble with extra space in the house. Rooms that didn't show up on the plans. Places that felt used. I never replied. But sometimes, when I walk past my new place late at night, I swear I feel walls breathing behind me, like somewhere a room is still open, and it remembers how I got out. Story 4. The last bus passed hours ago. I knew I was home alone because the neighborhood went quiet in a way it never did when people were awake. No distant traffic, no dogs barking, no porch lights clicking on and off. Just my house, sitting at the end of a dead street, and the faint glow of the street lamp outside my living room window. My parents were visiting relatives out of state. I was supposed to enjoy the freedom. Instead, I kept checking the time. 12:18 a.m. I was halfway through reheating leftovers when I heard the bus. That didn't make sense. The city bus only ran until midnight. Everyone knew that. I'd missed it more than once before and had to walk home as a result. But there it was, air brakes sighing, engine idling, doors folding open with a hollow thunk. I stepped to the window and pulled the curtain back an inch. The bus sat at the corner, headlights off, interior lights glowing pale yellow. The route number on the front display was blank. No one got on. No one got off. It just waited. After a full minute, the doors closed, and the bus rolled away, tires whispering against the pavement. I stood there longer than I meant to, trying to convince myself I hadn't imagined it. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Did you miss it? My stomach dropped. I typed back slowly. Miss what? 3 dots appeared immediately. Unknown number. The last ride. I didn't respond. I locked my phone and checked the front door, then the back, then every window. Everything was secure. When I returned to the kitchen, my microwave clock was blinking. 12 o'clock. The power hadn't gone out. None of the other clocks were affected. I reset it and tried to shake the unease crawling up my spine. At 12:41 a.m., the bus came back. This time, it stopped directly in front of my house. The brakes hissed louder than before, echoing down the empty street. I watched from the hallway window, heart pounding. The doors opened. A voice came from outside. Not loud, not urgent, just close enough to hear through the glass. End of the line. I stepped back so fast I nearly tripped. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number, you're still inside. I turned off every light in the house, then crouched below the window line. The bus idled, patient. Its interior lights flickered once, twice. Then I heard footsteps on the sidewalk. Slow, heavy. They stopped at my front door. A knock followed. 3 sharp taps. This isn't your stop, the voice said, closer now. But it can be. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. The handle rattled, not violently, just enough to test it. Locked. The footsteps retreated. The bus doors closed. I waited until the engine noise faded before I stood up. My legs felt weak, like I'd run miles without moving. I checked my phone again. No signal. No missed calls. Only one new message, timestamped 12:45. You should pack next time. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch with the lights on, eyes fixed on the street outside. At 1:30 a.m., the bus returned. This time, it didn't stop at the curb. Pulled into my driveway. The tires crunched over gravel that shouldn't have been able to support something that heavy. The house trembled as it settled just feet from my front door. The interior lights were brighter now. I could see silhouettes through the windows. Dozens of them. Standing. Facing forward. Perfectly still. The door opened. Cold air rushed through the cracks around my doorframe. The voice spoke again right outside. "We waited because you were alone." My phone vibrated in my hand even though the screen stayed dark. I didn't need to see the message to know what it said. The doorknob turned. Once, twice, then stopped. Silence stretched, thick and heavy. Finally, footsteps moved away. The bus door folded shut. The engine revved. But the bus didn't leave. The interior lights went out one row at a time, front to back, until only the driver's area glowed. A shape leaned forward behind the windshield, watching, waiting. When the lights finally died completely, the bus vanished. Not drove off, not faded, but simply wasn't there anymore. No tire marks, no sound, just my driveway empty. Morning came eventually. Sunlight spilled into the living room like nothing had happened. My phone had signal again. No messages, no call history. I told myself it was stress, exhaustion, a bad night. That afternoon, I walked to the corner store. At the bus stop down the block, a new sign had been installed overnight. I stopped when I read it. Temporary route change. Last stop, your address. Underneath, written in smaller text, missed pickups will not be rescheduled. I walked home without looking back. I don't stay up late anymore. I don't ignore strange knocks. And when I hear a bus at night, I don't check the window. Because I already know. It isn't there to take me somewhere new. It's there to take me home.